Hello and welcome to another episode of Earth911 Sustainability in Your Ear. I'm Mitch Ratcliffe, your host, and we are back with another innovator interview. Today we're going to be talking about smart home technology. Now, these devices, which include thermostats and sensors and a variety of other gadgets that you can place around your house, help you save energy by measuring how your home is being heated, when people are present or not present, and all of those actions translate into reduced CO2 emissions, especially in parts of the country where electricity is generated primarily from fossil fuels, and that's most of the country. Smart home devices are often available with generous local utility rebates too, and a lot of people do not take advantage of that. It helps utilities manage the grid more efficiently, so they're willing to help you purchase these and offset the cost. So we're talking today with Sarah Colvin. She's the Senior Director of Energy Partnerships at ecobee. ecobee is a maker of home monitoring and management devices, as I said, thermostats, cameras, sensors, and other things. And they also provide an air filter subscription service to keep your filters fresh and the air clean in your home. That includes professional installation, and they also have some business services. We want to learn more about the benefits of smart home technology, or you're often going to hear it described as Internet of Things, or IoT, and how much energy these smart devices use themselves, and how to equip our homes to reduce power consumption and greenhouse gas emissions overall. Welcome to the show, Sarah. How are you today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me, Mitch.
Well, thanks for joining us. And you know, ecobee has been doing a lot of interesting work for about 10, 12 years now in the energy management space. Can you just kind of give us a baseline idea of how much energy we can save by managing our home using smart home technology?
Yeah, absolutely. So ecobee's mission, and really the whole reason that our founder and CEO today, Stuart Lombard, started the company, was to do home energy management and finding ways to help homeowners, help his own family save energy. So that has always been, a primary mission for us. And we're really proud of the technology that we've built and its ability to help save customers energy. Heating and cooling equipment in a typical residential setting accounts for probably about 50% of the energy usage. And that's fairly consistent across North America. With our Energy Star certified smart thermostats, we have measured data that shows that customers can save up to 26% on annual heating and cooling costs. It reduces the strain on the electricity grid. You can take advantage of rebates, as you talked about, and we know that, this is going to drive energy savings. It's going to help with comfort in the home, and customers are going to get that bill savings in the end.
So when you add it all up across the country, 26% energy savings per home is an awful lot of power that we could be eliminating the use of. But do you have a sense of the scope of how much we could reduce our cumulative energy footprint by doing this in all our homes?
So we've done some analysis on that, at least from ecobee users' perspective. Mm-hmm. And we know that customers can save probably just over about 1 ton of GHG per year. And we've been able to save about 3.7 million tons of CO2 from the atmosphere with the customers that we have today and what they're driving in terms of savings.
If we were to reduce across the board, not just your customers, but the entire country, the energy use by 26%, obviously that's not 26% of the total, but it is 26% of the home energy cost. That's a pretty significant contribution. If it's 1 ton per home and we have 130 million homes in the United States, that adds up to some fairly significant numbers. Why aren't people rushing to do this? Is it simply a lack of information?
I think it's somewhat a lack of information. Utilities have done a lot of work to try to help customers understand those additional benefits, understanding that it can save on energy. We're really starting to, I think, hit a revolution with customers looking for technology that's going to help them with their carbon footprint and finding ways to reduce in that capacity. And really, the technology, I think, is still reasonably new for a lot of homes that maybe haven't thought about upgrading to smart technology. They haven't maybe upgraded their heating and cooling equipment. And we've seen a lot of great success even with the Pro channel and being able to work with contractors to help educate customers on those benefits, so that, when you're making those incremental changes in your home, you can add on smart thermostat technologies as well.
I was doing some research the other day about the use of rebates, and it turns out that across the country, only about 0.2% of the rebates available are actually taken advantage of by consumers. When somebody visits the ecobee site and they're purchasing a thermostat, for instance, is it easy to find the local rebates that you can get for that thermostat?
It is. We've tried to simplify this process as much as possible. So customers can visit ecobee.com/rebates. They can put in their zip code or their postal code if they're here in Canada, and have access to all of the rebates that are available, as well as the steps needed to take to do that. We have a number of utility partnerships as well that offer instant rebates on ecobee. So you could come to our site, check out with a smart thermostat, and get that rebate from the utility applied directly. So we're trying to make it as easy and as streamlined as possible for customers to take advantage of that.
That's great to hear. I mean, because it's just simply so many steps, and people are trying to solve a problem rather than add 10 things to their to-do list. Now,
that's right.
One of the concerns that we've heard from our readers about smart home technology is that they are always consuming power, that they are, in a sense, this vampire power suck on their utility bill. And can you talk about the trade-off for the additional use of energy for these devices and the overall impact? The 26%, is that the reduction, the result of netting out the additional power being used by the IoT devices and the savings?
So I think it's a common misconception, and not that phantom power exists, but how much smart home technology will draw. One of the things that I think readers can feel confident in as part of the Energy Star certification process for our devices, there are requirements about what that standby power can't be more than. And so, we're also trying to make sure that as we put technology into our devices, as we power them more, as we make them stronger and improve processors, all of that, is also being balanced against, what that standby draw is. And then when we think about, the other side of that equation, which is how much energy can that system save, the trade-off really is much to the homeowner's benefit of what that additional incremental energy savings is going to be, especially because that equipment is so significant, right? The load of an AC unit by comparison to the couple additional watts that smart home technology might draw.
Now, based on studies, we know that heating and cooling is this largest source of draw on the energy grid. How do you see technology helping utilities begin to manage the load and distribute the savings for across all the homeowners that are on the grid?
So I think that there's a couple ways. Demand response programs have been around for decades with utilities. It started with switch technology, and then thermostats came into play, and now we have smart thermostats. And that's really a huge part of, where we focus and how we enable our customers to support, both additional renewable energy on the grid, having balanced load, making sure that utilities can support that grid. And this is definitely a place where, we're focusing in and trying to understand how our technology can help manage that for utilities, whether it's a grid level emergency, whether it's system capacity. We have about 90 different programs across Canada and the US today.
Now, let's talk a little about the usage of power over the course of the day. Most utilities are really trying to prevent peak usage that forces them to turn on additional generation. And that's usually been in the early evening time, because that's when we're all home and we do our dishes and we do our laundry and all the other things that add up to a big load on the system. Could we use smart home technology to sort of redistribute our energy use over the course of the day? In the long term, have your thermostat also turn on your washing machine during a low energy use part of the day?
Yeah, I think one of the places we're going to start to see this become a lot more prevalent is through time varying rates. And so California obviously moving towards, mandatory time of use rates. Michigan has implemented the same. Where I am here in Ontario, we've had time of use for almost 10 years. And a lot of other utilities and jurisdictions are looking to introduce that to do exactly what you're talking about. Instead of just maybe on those peak days, being able to optimize energy usage during that, during every day, because we know that the grid and the system needs that to flatten the load shape. Our technology is set up to be able to do that. And I think that as we see more smart home interoperability start to happen, we'll be able to give those signals to other devices and other technology within the home and start to really work on understanding what that customer need is and how the different technology and IoT devices within the home can play together in that space to, balance both that individual home, but a neighborhood, a substation, whatever that utility is looking for, and what that localized need is.
So one of the things that people are concerned about is getting locked into a generation of technology that won't allow them to take advantage of that future capability. And I wanted to ask you about the way ecobee can update these smart devices. Now, you just released a software update for all the models you've made since 2014, and it reduces energy consumption an additional 5% compared to the previous savings. Talk a little about how the device is extensible for future use, that it can be enhanced with additional software to do other smart things. Are you designing a smart home system in the future that your current devices will be able to support?
That is definitely part of the vision, and one of, I think, what our corporate responsibilities are that we take very seriously. Technology companies have an opportunity to reduce tech waste. And we really want to create a virtuous product cycle by offering, less products to do a lot more, so that you don't have to have an ecobee smart thermostat and replace it every 3 years to take advantage of, net new features that we bring forward. So unlike some of our competitors, we want to tackle this idea of, planned obsolescence with products that are engineered to stay in the home, stay out of landfill. And because of that connected technology, we can actually, monitor what's happening across our various devices. We know that the average lifespan is likely over 10 years. I mean, we've been a company for just over 10 years, so that data will probably continue to increase, as well, knowing that, more than 2/3 of the thermostats we released in 2014 are still online today, which I think is really fantastic. And when you have internet connected devices, you're able to do those software or firmware upgrades over the air through that Wi-Fi connection that continue to offer as many features as possible. And so for us, we really want to make sure that once we're in your home, we've been invited in, we're on your wall, we can continue to deliver value for you. And we do that today with a lot of the software and upgrades that we provide to customers like Eco Plus that you mentioned.
Now, let's talk about some of these different intelligent features. We were curious about the way you're using comfort levels based on humidity, local humidity. How does that work? How does the thermostat adjust the temperature because, for instance, it's muggy out?
Sure. So adjustments for humidity are, one of 5 features that we have in our new Eco Plus software. And so what happens is we're using both humidity and temperature readings to calculate the home's temperature. We know that, humidity has a significant impact on how you feel comfort-wise, but yet the temperature in your home may not have changed. The humidity is just going to make it feel differently. So what we do is average out humidity data for the past 10 days, look at what the current temperature and humidity levels are, and calculate what that sort of feels like temperature should be. So, for example, in the wintertime, when humidity is particularly high, and you've had, a lower average level the past few days, we know that temperature is going to make it feel warmer than it normally would. So what we can do is actually reduce the use of the thermostat and change that temperature a little bit so that it feels exactly the same in the home for you, but we're leading to energy savings for the customer without that compromise of comfort.
So it's interesting. You're using a barometer in the device to optimize the heating. That's really fascinating. Let me ask about another one. You have smart sensors. You can place these around the house to track temperatures in different rooms and then adjust the furnace or air conditioning based on that. How does the combination of the sensors and the thermostat work together to control the heating or the cooling so that the rooms are better managed? That's a very complex calculation.
Our smart sensors, you can put up to 32 in a home, and they have a range of about 20 feet, and that's going to monitor occupancy within that space, as well as temperature, and communicate that back to the thermostat. So there's a couple ways that you can use the smart sensors to optimize for energy. One of them is to create an average. So you could have and maybe I'll use my home as an example to kind of give you, what I've done or ideas of how I've set mine up. So I have a smart sensor in the basement. I have one upstairs in the office that I'm sitting in. And what I can do is set the temperature of the home to be an average across those three. So that if it's a little bit cooler in my basement, which it likely is, versus a little bit warmer here in the office that I'm sitting in, I can get that average temperature to be what I want across, where my thermostat is and where my smart sensors are. Conversely, maybe when I'm sleeping, I can set my schedule to pay attention only to the smart sensor that's in the bedroom, because when I'm sleeping, I want to be comfortable and I know what that temperature looks like for me. And I can ignore the temperatures on the other sensors. And so when you're setting your schedules, when you're setting your program, you can actually figure out which sensors to pay attention to, or you can set up the device to follow you. So if it notices that there's occupancy in a room, it's going to pay attention to that sensor and make sure that it's averaging across those temperature points across the home in order to make sure that you're comfortable in the room that you're in. And then conversely, what you're getting is a notice that there is no occupancy in a space, and the temperature is able to do either a setback or an increase depending on whether it's heating or cooling. And that's going to help homeowners save energy. That's going to lead to that, very sort of foundational concept of smart thermostat technology, and one of our features, Smart Home Away, which is going to know if the home is not occupied, but yet your temperature preference was set to home and you're not there, you
Right.
can get that additional energy savings very quickly by setting the temperature back.
So roughly how much savings is possible by heating a home based on occupancy?
So for us, we've been able to measure 26% on that savings. We've also made sure that, we're overachieving against Energy Star standards, which is, a requirement to save 8% on heating costs. And then knowing that that also lends itself to, a reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, because typically heating is done, with fossil fuel, natural gas, and then even looking at heat pump type systems, making sure that we're able to reduce as much as possible usage of auxiliary heat.
So I have a special case, and I know this is an outlier, but my home is an amalgam of several different generations of building, and unfortunately, we have two furnaces and air conditioning units. Is there a way using smart thermostats to combine those two and manage them collectively?
Yes. So you can pair multiple thermostats inside the home, inside your app. You can have them follow the same set schedule. You can have them treated a little bit differently depending on, what the zoning of the home is, how you use the different spaces. And so they can work more discreetly, they can work together. And, again, when you pair more smart sensor technology, you're going to get a lot more balanced comfort throughout that space.
That's great to hear. It's been a perpetual problem. Now, let's talk a little more about the rebates. How much are the average rebates for a smart thermostat, maybe in terms of a percentage of the price generally, that somebody could get from a utility when they install one of these?
Yeah, typically rebates will get you, I'd say, 40 to even sometimes 50% of the cost of the technology back. And that definitely helps when it comes to, adoption of these types of programs and this technology. You can pair together energy efficiency rebates. We typically see those in the ballpark of $75 to $100. And then a lot of utilities who offer efficiency rebates will offer incentives for customers to participate in grid events or demand response. And that typically comes as an ongoing payment. So you could get $100 off up front, and then $25 or $50 every year for participating in those grid events. And so when you pair together all of that utility benefit, when you think about the energy savings that you're getting as a customer, even though that initial upfront cost might be, a little bit higher than other technology that's out there, that payback is going to happen super fast for you. You're able to participate. The utility is going to support you. And what I think a lot of folks don't know is we have a lot of programs and utility partnerships that actually offer ecobee smart thermostats at no cost, especially when we start talking about low and moderate income customers, and really focused on how do we solve for, energy poverty and those who have, a high energy burden, which might not have the same access to some of this technology. A lot of utilities will do an installation at no cost for that customer so that they get that benefit. They can participate in programs and they're getting that ongoing bill savings as a result of the heating and cooling savings.
Are you all expecting to see an increase in these kinds of rebates because of the Biden energy plan?
Yes, and smart thermostat technology is going to be critical to the introduction and the growth of clean energy on the grid. The supply and demand that markets and operators are looking at today is going to start to really shift, and we're going to have far more responsive technology. And so while energy efficiency is going to continue to be a very important foundational component of all of this, the idea of having technology like smart thermostats or EV chargers or solar or smart appliances, being able to respond to the grid in short order is going to be what also helps grow and make it possible to introduce so much renewable energy into the electricity grid.
I'd love to have you come back and talk about the transition at some point, but I want to stay mostly on the product. Let's talk a little about privacy, because this is the other concern that we hear from folks is, you can put a smart device in and suddenly somehow you have exposed your home to surveillance. And ecobee's smart thermostats do include voice control features. So if I turn that on, what does ecobee know about me?
So first of all, privacy is an incredibly important foundational element of ecobee. It's one of our values. It's something that, we're really proud of how we manage customer data and how we protect that. We know that we're a guest in the home. And so, that respect for that private place, that's your space, you get to decide what gets shared, whether you connect it to Alexa or not. Those are all decisions that you get to make as a homeowner and decide whether, the benefit of connecting to Alexa is that trade-off, and that authentication has to happen, with your permission. I think one of the great examples of the way that, we're protecting customer data, but also making sure that we share it where it makes sense, is our Donate Your Data program. So if you have an ecobee thermostat, you can opt in to have your anonymized data shared with research institutions, some of the national labs in the US. We've partnered with institutions like Cornell, the University of Toronto, even the state of Indiana, to prove out the value and potential of energy efficiency. So again, we want to enable customers to choose how they share their data. We think that there's a benefit in that, but again, it comes with permission. And the customer really has to decide who and where they want to share that.
So you really do need to think about what you connect this ecobee system to, because that might be one of the points where your private data leaks out, like through an Alexa. But you, within the ecobee network, are respecting that privacy and not collecting that information unless you have a specific opt-in.
That's right.
Okay, cool. Now, just to wrap this up, it sounds like the thing you need to start with, if you really want to take advantage of this, is a thermostat. But you have a bunch of multi-product solution packs. Where should somebody start if they're, they, unlike me, have one furnace and want to get started reducing their energy use?
So absolutely, the smart thermostat with voice control is a great place to start. You're going to get a smart sensor that's included in the box. And my suspicion would be that as soon as you set that up and you've had that in your home for a couple of weeks, you're going to be back on the website looking to buy more smart sensors, to put in kids' bedrooms, to put in the basement, to, find that additional value of monitoring space and temperature and comfort across the home. From there, we've introduced home monitoring equipment. We have door and window contacts that are going to start to pay attention to if your window's open and your AC is running, it's going to give you that alert because you're wasting energy by having your window open and your AC running. And so always trying to figure out how to tie our products together to really have like emergent experiences for customers that provide value, that can drive energy savings, and making sure that what we build all works together. The other thing I think you mentioned just off of the top is a filter subscription. We know that changing filters makes a big difference. It's really important for the maintenance. It's important for the longevity of HVAC equipment. And I don't know about everybody else, but whenever I know I need to change my filter, I get to Home Depot, and then I can't remember, was it 26 by 16 by 1? Was it, and then like these numbers get confusing. So what I love is that the filters show up at my door. I get the reminder to change my filter, and I just never have to worry about it. And that convenience, that comfort, and knowing that I'm protecting my system has been, a great peace of mind for me.
I think what you're hitting on, too, is the fact that the companies that are going to solve the problem of optimizing energy use and a lot of other things are going to need more intimate engagement. But as you say, you're a guest in the home. They need to recognize that rather than say, hey, we're going to come in and take over and solve all your problems. By the way, we're going to take all your data. Those are the kinds of things that the consumer needs to be aware of when choosing the brands they want to work with.
And I think that automated technology is going to be so important for convenience, but it also means engaging the customer so that you understand what's happening in the home. You know what it is that, your ecobee thermostat is responding to, whether it's a, community energy event, whether it's time of use, whether it's the fact that the house is unoccupied. Having that visibility and that data to understand what's happening across the home gives folks that comfort that, we're there and they can trust us in the home, that their data is secure, and that we'll continue to deliver energy savings for them in the years to come.
Yeah, now that we have the data, we can optimize. We simply weren't aware of what was going on in our homes. So, Sarah, I want to thank you for taking time to talk with us today.
Thanks for having me. This has been a great conversation.
Well, we look forward to having you back. Well, folks, that was Sarah Colvin. She is the Senior Director of Energy Partnerships at ecobee, and you can find ecobee at ecobee, ecobee.com. Check them out. They also look for the rebates. Don't forget that, because that can actually save you a ton of money. This is Earth911 Sustainability in Your Ear, and I'm Mitch Ratcliffe. We'll be back with another innovator interview soon. In the meantime, let's all take care of ourselves. Let's take care of one another. And, of course, let's take care of this beautiful planet of ours. We'll be back soon.